Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1859 and today's date is May 5th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Economic Control Coming Back to the U.S. Central Bank Admits They Help the Wealthy. Now, this is the time of year that most of us have a big old clear out. We get rid of all the stuff that's collected through the winter, hidden away in the back of a cupboard or a file cabinet. There might be a gold mine. Noble Gold can show you how to blow the financial dust off those files, revitalize the dead money, and catapult your retirement savings into orbit. Just for May, to celebrate Memorial Day, they are offering a solid silver Trump 2020 coin and a 10-ounce silver bar for anyone rolling over an IRA or cash deal over $20,000. Talk to the team over at Noble Gold today and call 877-646-5347. Protect your retirement by investing in a gold IRA. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we are seeing a lot happening in the economic realm. First, we have the Brexit. Then we have the U.S.-China trade talks going on. We have Trump out there showing the world how great the U.S. economy is doing. Trump is bringing back jobs, bringing back manufacturers, bringing back corporations at the same time, holding the deep state, the mainstream media, the central bank at bay, where he's showing them that you can't touch the economy. Going into the 2020 elections, you cannot touch what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean they're not trying. And we can see from certain mainstream media outlets, they are trying to chip away at Trump's economy with other messages, and we'll be getting into that in just a minute. But first, let's start off with the Brexit here. And we know right now that the people would like to break away from the EU. The EU and certain individuals in government don't want this to happen. We know that Nigel Farage, he formed a new Brexit party, and they are in first place, pulling well ahead of the Labour Party by 9 points. Now, he's continually smiling at the latest poll numbers from the EU elections, and he's saying, listen, this is fantastic. And we've only launched this last month, and the Brexit Party quickly stormed to the top of the polls. And according to YouGov, Farage's party now is polling around 30%. It's an increase of about 2% from the previous poll. And support for the pro-Brexit Party is an overwhelming 68%. And you can see that everything that May is trying to do, everything the EU is trying to do, it is not working. And soon, I do believe, we're going to see the people rise up and say, you know something, we're taking back control. Now, we've been talking about the automobile industry and how the automobile industry, it is collapsing around the globe. And we're getting further indicators that this is happening in many, many areas. When we look at Germany, for instance, we're seeing that car registrations in Germany, they're falling again. And the data showed around 310,000 new cars have been registered in April. That's 1.1% less than a year before. And sales for the first 4 months of 2019 were flat compared to the same period in 2018. So when we look at certain manufacturers like Volkswagen, their sales dropped by 11.2%. When we look at BMW, they fell by 17.4%. And when you look at the United States, we see the American car companies, they have declined. This is the central bank economy falling apart. This is what we are watching right now in real time. Now, while the central bank system is completely falling apart, at the same time, we have Trump manipulating the economy to hold back the central bank, the deep state, the mainstream media. He knows he needs to have control over the 2020 elections. That's why he's using the manipulation. While he's doing this, he's reworking the entire economic system, restructuring it to bring us into a new economic system. Now, CNN anchor Jake Tapper, he had his panel on Friday, and they were talking about Trump's numbers, and they started off saying, yes, these numbers look great, the economy looks great, but you know they're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know they're not going to say, wow, the economy's great, this is what we're looking for. They're going to try to use other messages to try to bring Trump down and try to make people think like, oh, look, yes, the economy's great, but he's still a mess. Take a listen to what the panel said.
And if he's not getting the sufficient credit for the economy, it's a lot of it because he steps on his own message. I mean, again, with these boffo economic news, you'd be expecting the president to talk about it every day, just hammering that home in different messaging campaigns. But a lot of times he likes to focus on other things. And just he sometimes has a tendency to step on his own message.
Well, that is true. I'll just tell you, we were going to lead with the economy on the show. It was going to be the first block. We're going to sing the numbers that we just sang. And then President Trump decided to talk to Vladimir Putin and talk about how, Russia hoax and all that.
Today is a perfect example of that. White House aides were blanketing TV all day today, scheduled to talk about economic numbers they knew were coming out today because they always come out on the first Friday of the month. And instead, halfway through the day, this with Trump and Putin yet again throwing everything off of message. This could have been maybe the first day. I've been covering this president since the beginning. I don't think I've ever experienced a full day of the White House carrying out a message on the economy, on the one thing that they have that they can trumpet. And it's because the president always steps on his own message. He was feeling really good this morning about where things are going, about the Mueller report being done. He talked to Putin and then everything went out the window.
And Kirsten, you heard the president say when the economy's doing well.
As you can see, they don't like it when he brings up Russia, when he speaks to Putin, or he talks about the Russian hoax, because, as they were explaining, they were there for the economy. The reason why they don't like this is, one, it goes against everything they've been reporting on. Two, they're using it to show that he still has problems, that he's a bumbling idiot and he's trampling over his own messages. And this is not going to work. There are many different messages out there. One of his messages is that the economy is doing absolutely fantastic. I mean, Trump tweeted out on May 3rd. He said, jobs, jobs, jobs. Jobs surge in April. Unemployment rate falls to the lowest since 1969. And they keep talking about how he's trampling on his message. Well, if you look at his Twitter account and you look at the economic tweets that he's putting up on his account, they're pretty darn clear. Trump, we tweeted the following from Eric Bowling. Hispanic unemployment hit a record low today. He retweeted CNN Tapper. Trump not getting enough credit for the economy. That's coming from the Daily Caller. And then out of the Daily Caller once again, April jobs report, 263,000 jobs added. Unemployment at 3.6%. Out of Drudge, unemployment 49-year low. Wage hits $27 an hour. Stock market endless rally. Trump approval 50%. So I don't think Trump is trampling over his own messages. I think it's very clear. The economy is doing absolutely fantastic. And he's looking at everything the mainstream media has been lying about. Because they've been pushing the Russian hoax. And now he's turning the tables on all of them, and they don't like the mixed message. And it really isn't a mixed message. There are many different messages within the presidency. He talks about the economy. He talks about the spying. He talks about the Mueller report. And yes, when you have the reporters there, and they're all there for the economy, guess what he can do? He can use that to his advantage. And they don't like this. They don't want him using their airtime to talk about the truth. Because if you listen to what they said, they were all there to listen about the economy. And then halfway through, all of a sudden, they went off to things we don't want to talk about. So the messages are very, very clear. They're having a problem with it. Now, we know that the Chinese and the United States, they are negotiating new trade talks. And we know that the trade talks, they're still ongoing. They might have a deal. They might not have a deal. I think eventually they will have a deal. And Trump decided to tweet out something about China, something about tariffs. And when he does this, he uses this as leverage. And he tweeted out the following. For 10 months, China has been paying tariffs to the U.S. of 25% on $50 billion of high-tech and 10% on $200 billion of other goods. These payments are partially responsible for our great economic results. The 10% will go up to 25% on Friday, $325 billion of additional goods sent to us by China remain untaxed, but will be shortly at a rate of 25%. The tariffs paid to the United States have little impact on product costs, mostly borne by China. The trade deal with China continues, but too slowly as they attempt to renegotiate. No. So China is pushing back. Trump is using leverage and saying, listen, if you don't do what we want to do, you're going to be taxed once again. Now, once again, remember how this is done. There are middlemen within China. The middleman who purchases the good in China, they're the ones who receive the 10 or 25% tariff rate, not the everyday person here in the United States. So if you're buying an electronic product that was made in China, it doesn't mean it's going to go up 25%. The first individual, the middleman, who purchases that product in China, they pay the 25%. So if the product sold for $10, they're going to pay 25% on that. And then it goes to the next middleman, then it's shipped here, and then you might see 5 cents, 10 cents added to the price. But the amount that is paid is minimal compared to when it reaches the everyday person here in the United States. But what happens is the cost is put back on China, not on us here in the United States. And the mainstream media continually tries to push the idea that you're going to see a 10%, 15%, 25% increase in the product costs, which is absolutely fake, phony, and false. And Trump is using this as leverage because he knows that this will not affect the everyday person. So if you went and you bought your electronic item and it was maybe $100 or $200 and you see it's $202 or $205, it's not going to really faze you at all. You're not even going to notice it. But something very interesting coming out of the central bank. This is coming out of the Netherlands Central Bank, and they just published a fascinating new paper titled Monetary Policy and the Top 1%, Evidence from a Century of Modern Economic History. And this is working paper number 632. It examines the distributional implications of monetary policy from a long-run perspective with data spanning a century of modern economic history in 12 advanced economies between the 1920s and 2015, estimating the dynamic response of the top 1% income share to a monetary policy shock. What did they find out? Well, they found that loose monetary conditions strongly increase the top 1%'s income and vice versa. In fact, following an expansionary monetary policy shock, the share of national income held by the richest 1% increases by 1 to 6 percentage points. So what we've been talking about all along is absolutely true. That what the central bank is doing, they're helping the 1%, and their wealth increases dramatically. So once again, we have a problem with the central bank system. And again, you need to remember, this is the plan. The plan is to make the United States in control of its economic future, not the central bank controlling the economic future of the United States, not having the deep state control the economic future of the United States, but having the people control the economic future of the United States. How do you do this? Well, you do it the way Trump is doing it. You force other countries to abide by our rules, not the deep state rules, not the central bank rules, and not the rules where you push all the jobs out of the United States, and you allow every other country to reap the benefits and not the United States. This is why Trump is putting tariffs into place. This is why he's deregulating. This is why he's bringing back jobs. This is why he's bringing back manufacturers. This is why he's giving tax incentives. This is all to allow the United States to be in control of its economic future. Before, the deep state, the central bank, other countries were dictating on what the United States was going to do. Now, that has been stripped away, and I'm talking about the globalists. That has been completely stripped away, and now the people are regaining control. And eventually what's going to happen, we will gain control of the creation of currency. And that is the ultimate control. And that time is coming very soon. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.